Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jeff J. Brown in beautiful, sunny, and cold Shenzhen, just south of the Tropic of Cancer. It actually got down to 9 degrees Celsius last night. For you Americans, that's somewhere around 40 degrees or 40-something degrees. And we were beside ourselves. You know, that's the coldest it's been all year, and this is about as cold as it ever gets. And so it's amazing what you can get used to. It's getting up to, 15, 16, 17 during the day, which is extremely pleasant. So today's podcast tea is Tibetan black tea. You know, the kind that they sell it in these big bricks, that weigh 600 to 1,000 grams, up to a kilo. And the tea is so compressed that you have to take like a butcher knife and like rock it over the top of it just to shave off enough to make a pot of tea. And Tibetan black tea reminds me of my 44 days backpacking in China, my first China book in the China trilogy, when I took a bus from Chengdu, the capital of Sichuan, up through Kangding to go to Tagong up on the Tibetan plateau, and it was just so spectacularly beautiful. The bus ride was harrowing, and I think great driver, otherwise we'd have been dead. Anyway, if you want a great adventure story and learn about China, check out 44 Days Backpacking in China. All right. Today's going to be a fun one. There are so many pictures. You really need to get to the article. If you don't have the link, just go to www.chinarising.puntopress.com. Go to the blog page, and it should be the first one up there, unless it's been a while since you listened to this. The title of it is In China, S is for savings, from gold to tea to art. And there's a picture of a banner ad in a subway. Above, there's gold and silver in them there Chinese banks, Jethro. A China Construction Bank CCB banner ad for the Year of the Dog themed gold items to buy in Shenzhen's busiest metro. Here's the article. Baba Beijing is trying really hard with policies, laws, regulations, and propaganda to increase the people's consumption levels. It is working well, as this graph below shows. Much of this rising consumer spending is due to the Chinese getting increasingly richer since liberation in 1949. This includes the poor and farm people, for whom in 2016 rural income increased 47% year on. This is due to Baba Beijing's No Other Place in the World campaign to not just reduce but completely eliminate extreme poverty by 2020, and it is getting accomplished ahead of schedule. Not to mention that as a communist-socialist economy, these poor and rural people most likely own their own home. This, while many millions of Americans have lost their homes since 2008, I can personally attest. We lost ours in Oklahoma in 2010, while my wife and younger daughter fled to France to prepare for our second move back to China. I lived in a car for 2 months and met other families with children living in their vehicles, camped out in truck stops, parking lots at truck stops. The American dream is reality TV live in my face. I'd much rather be a poor Chinese citizen. They have dignity and respect. They have universal health care too. While their life expectancy continues to climb, Americans is declining. In spite of all this spending, the Chinese cannot stop saving, a habit they have developed as second nature for the last 5,000 years. A lot of it goes back to Confucian, Daoist, and Buddhist morals to live frugally and humbly. Even as the Chinese have gotten richer, their savings habit remains intact. On a household disposable income basis, no other people in a large economy can compare to the Chinese's wealth management. In exchange rate dollar terms, China eclipsed the U.S. in national savings in 2008 and has never looked back. If this chart were done in purchasing power parities, PPP, it would be twice what is shown. Need I mention that almost all of U.S. savings is going to the top 10%? The bottom 90% really don't save much at all. Living in China for a total of 14 years, I see the Chinese's savings habit everywhere I go. So what do they put their wealth into? One is precious metals. I went to a big international tea expo yesterday in Shenzhen. On the way in, the city's biggest metro station, Chugongmiao, which means Water Wheel Public Temple, China Construction Bank, CCB, is putting on an advertising blitz to buy gold for the Chinese New Year, coming up next month. Never heard of CCB? Well, it's only the second biggest bank in the world among the top 4, which are all Chinese and all people owned by Baba Beijing. In the Chinese zodiac, 2018 is the year of the dog, so no surprise that the theme to buy gold is canine all the way. Arf, arf, Fido, go catch that ingot. Precious pooch metals. As you can see in the following photos, Chinese banks offer a dizzying array of designs and motifs for consumers to choose from. Ingots, embossed and stylized, amulets, pendants, earrings, scrolls, and brooches. The Chinese text says, CCB Gold, your choice in gold. However, I can go into any bank in China and buy the same wide selection of products in pure silver. Various bylines to some pictures. CCB ads covering Shenzhen's biggest metro station to buy gold. Traditional boat-shaped gold ingots are on offer, ditto silver in every Chinese bank. Behind, there was an advertisement, big banner advertisement. Oppo, OPPO, is one of China's biggest mobile phone brands. Vertical banner ads for ingots and brooches. Year of the Dog themed ads for ingots, scrolls, amulets, pendants, earrings, and brooches. Interestingly, this big gold buying campaign only covered half of this monster metro station. The other half was wall-to-wall banners by China Life Insurance Company, a people-owned Fortune Top 100 corporation. Of course, life insurance being another prudent way to save money and plan for the future. At the Tea Expo, I was blown away by all of the high-quality tea and Chinese culture goods for sale, up to $50,000 for hand-carved furniture, tea settings, ceramics, porcelain, jewelry, sculptures, paintings, calligraphy, silk, and embroidered clothing. Basically all the high-value goods that the Chinese have been exporting to the rest of the world for 5 millennia, especially via the Silk Roads. These eye-catching goods were way out of my league, but were fun to oogle at in any case. The French have a great term for it, la lèche vitrine, which means to lick the store windows. I did a lot of window licking while there. Everything I saw was a potential savings repository, and the place was packed with Chinese savers. Several exhibitors had magnificent pure silver teapots, costing thousands of dollars each. Most of the value lies in the celebrity of the artist silversmiths, since each one is hand-cast, hammered, carved, and formed. They are a great savings tool using silver as an investment. Then a byline, handcrafted pure silver teapots costing thousands of dollars each. One exhibitor displayed antique tea. it had two stern-looking security guards outside. They were like this the whole time, giving you an idea of the valuables inside. Like wine, tea can go up in value as it gets older. My wife and I learned this when we went to Pu'er tea country in Xishuangbanna, Yunnan province, over Chinese national holiday. The worker at the, and that's in October, the worker at the organic tea factory plantation we visited explained how the Chinese buy tea when their children are born to give them when they get married, to either consume, but just as likely to keep as a savings asset for a rainy day, or to pass on to grandchildren depending on the need. Below are some of the antique teas that were for sale going back to the 19th century. Each one of the tea bricks can sell for many thousands of dollars. Brick tea made for the Russian tea market from the 1920s. 19th century brick tea for the Russian market. Brick tea to commemorate Beijing hosting the 2008 Olympics. Huge tea wheel to celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Long March in limited edition series. In the antique tea exhibit were also collectible posters. Revolutionary posters that were printed after liberation are another popular form of investment for savings. Both posters are about tea culture and have a special cachet since they invoke a famous quote by Mao Zedong during the Cultural Revolution. "More and more tea plantations will be pioneered in the mountainsides." The tea plantation we visited in Yunnan was planted on Virgin Mountains back in the early 1950s. There is a whole chapter on China's revolutionary art and another one on the Cultural Revolution in book number 3 of the China trilogy. Mao gets a nice chapter in book number 2. And then the two posters have a byline. Both of these posters from the Cultural Revolution invoke a famous quote by Mao Zedong: "More and more tea plantations will be pioneered in the mountainsides." I also see the Chinese investing their savings in calligraphy, paintings, and art objects, as discussed in book number 3 of the China trilogy. Even middle-class workaday folks buy lower-cost works, banking on them going up in value over time. Below is a photo from a current painting/calligraphy collection on display at Shenzhen Municipal Museum. Some of these date back centuries. The second photo shows bronze pieces from a simultaneous museum exhibit dating back to the Zhou dynasty, 700 to 1000 BC. And then two bylines for the photos. Traditional Chinese painting and calligraphy being shown at the Shenzhen Municipal Museum. And then below, 3,000-year-old Zhou dynasty bronze pieces, some worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. From gold, silver, and tea to art and collectibles, the Chinese live the important habit of saving, something profligate Westerners could learn from. Ready to cut up your credit cards, lead a life of Confucian, Daoist, Buddhist delayed gratification, and start buying gold, silver, or tea? Want to learn more? Read the China trilogy to understand your world and where you are headed into the 21st century. You'll be so glad you did. Let's close out today's article and podcast with some perfectly themed music for the winter holiday season, presented as tea, in parentheses, Chinese dance, in the Nutcracker Suite by Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky. It is performed by the renowned Russian ballet Mariinsky, hailing from St. Petersburg. Thus we can have the guilty double pleasure of getting a Pavlovian response of revulsion among all the people in Uranglo land who have been brainwashed by Western propaganda into baselessly hating Russia and fearing Russians. Until these misinformed souls see the light of truth and reason, enjoy the show and the Schadenfreude. Speaking of misguided citizens, sharing is caring. Please tell your family, friends, and colleagues about China Rising Radio Sinoland, and post, share, and follow it on your social media. Thanks a lot for listening and reading. This is Jeff J. Brown signing out from cold, beautiful Shenzhen, China. Have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.